to the live version of the Metal Voice on YouTube, and today we're commemorating Ronnie James Dio, talking about his life and the music, and with none other than, of course, Simon Wright. Sir, what is going on?
Hey, how are you doing?
We're good, of course, with Alan Dixon.
I mean, I can't believe it's been 10 years. I
Yeah.
mean, Ronnie left us way too soon. So
Absolutely. Yeah. There's not a day goes by when I don't think about him in some form or another. Whether I'm shouting at other cars on the road or or shopping at Home Depot.
I remembered I was working at home and the sad news came on. I read it on the internet. And I just, I had to stop what I was doing. I had to write a dedication to him right then and there. I landed up fitting almost every song he ever wrote into kind of a dedication, the titles of every song. It affected me that badly. And I don't think, not even family members have affected me that badly as that day. So,
yeah, it's a sad day, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I remember, me too. I think actually I spoke to Alan right when that happened.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And we did a show right then and there. So, Simon, it's great to have you. We could talk a little bit about your time with Dio. And you know what? I'd like to also do another interview with you and talk about AC/DC, but we'll stick to Dio this time around. And,
okay.
Well, if we could go back to the time, I know AC/DC, they were 2, 3, 4 years between albums, and you had left. And how'd you decide to go from them to Dio at that time?
Yeah,
it was kind of a gradual thing over the years. I mean, obviously not to take away from the music of AC/DC, but drumming wise, can be a bit constraining, and I had a kit I used to play at home and stuff, and I'd be, blasting away, and I just became a little bit complacent with the music. Yeah, again, not to take away from the music, it was just I'm talking as a drummer. I needed to kind of like spread my wings a bit and do a bit more. So it was kind of a gradual thing, and they could kind of see it too. My enthusiasm wasn't exactly on 10, so it wasn't fair on them, and it wasn't fair on the people that were coming to see the shows. Although I played my ass off every night. I always do that, but it was kind of a gradual thing, and it just kind of happened, and I got a word from somebody that Ronnie was looking for a drummer. In fact, he changed all of his band pretty much for the Lock Up the Wolves album and the tour. So yeah, I managed to wrangle my way in, and we got to know one another, and it just really settled in there and worked out, and he was just great to work for. He let me do things, my own things, and we experiment with things, and I just loved the way he worked. It was all about the music, making it the best possible, So yeah, it was a great time.
I remember at the time, Hit Parader magazine had a huge spread about, Simon Wright and a new drummer with AC/DC, and then Malcolm saying, we got a young guy, he's come in and give us a kick up the arse, and with his energy and everything. But like you said, when it came to the albums, everything you wanted to do, you probably were held back a little bit, going to the straight 4/4 beat that Phil Rudd was so noted for.
Well, I don't know if held back is the right word. I mean, that's the way, that their music is, that's the way they write their songs. I mean, and, it's great. I mean, to actually sit in a room and see Angus and Malcolm working on, creating songs. I mean, it was just like unbelievable,
Yeah.
It's so difficult writing those simple songs, with those little hooks. And they will bang away for hours, and
Simon, do you remember what your audition songs were when you auditioned for AC/DC, what the set list was, or like the songs they wanted you to learn?
Well, the first 3 were just me playing along on a drum kit, and the drum tech was there because they had a lot of drummers come in, and they didn't want to be there. You know, they wanted the drum tech, Dickie Jones, to just sound them out. So it was Led Zeppelin, Black Dog, Shoot to Thrill, and ZZ Top, Tosh. So I played those three, and you know, I when I was, you know, when you're at home, I sort of played along to everything, you know, that was there. It was from Zeppelin to Genesis. I played, you know, everything, you know. So I kind of had an idea how the songs went, you know, not perfectly, but I got through it, obviously. So.
And you
got the gig. I mean, geez.
And I got the gig.
So now you're going.
Something must have went well.
You're going into Dio's band, like you said. You're going to Dio's band, which he blew up. Started from all over, and you know, that was a tough time in metal, man. When that whole lineup and that whole album, Lock Up the Wolves, came out.
Yeah, it was. You know, grunge was there, and there was a whole new genre of music to kind of check out, and it was a little bit of a strange time. You know, people were distracted by grunge and stuff like that, and but you know, we did the tour, and it did okay. You know, but it was a sign of the times, I think.
When you look back at that album, and I just recently, because it was the anniversary of this album, I recently sort of like looked back at it and I played it and I go, wow, this is really a great album. Do you have a lot of more love for it today than you did back in the day, or maybe it's less? I don't know.
I did actually listen to it a couple of weeks ago. I think it stands up. It's got some great songs on there. You know, I've got fond memories of recording it. It was a even though we're all new to each other, we all, you know, seemed to get along pretty well. And Ronnie was in, you know, good spirits and happy mood. Yeah, I do think it stood the test of time. It holds up well, I think, in the overall Dio catalog world. I think.
Sure. Okay.
So now you're coming in, and was there anything at the time? I mean, you know, Vinny was so much part of the Dio sound of those earlier albums. And, and now you're coming in. Would you just did your own thing? Was there anything any pressure or any advice to kind of sound like in the past, or since it was all blown up, you had carte blanche to do whatever you want?
Not really. I think maybe subconsciously I did. I kind of, you know, just to keep it in the overall feeling of Dio, I subconsciously thought about things like that, you know, not exactly like, well, what would Vinny do here? But, you know, and like I said, Ronnie was always encouraging, and he was always, you know, we were talking about some of the drum breaks and, you know, some fills and stuff we'd change around and mess around with, you know, not, you know, really deep stuff, but just changing stuff up a little bit. And no, I just went in there and I basically played, you know, and it wasn't too serious. It was a good, relaxed atmosphere and stuff, and very creative. So it was a really good time, really was.
All right, cool.
And then we had, you know, some of the other albums too. I think this is an underrated gem right here. Magica.
Yeah, where's mine?
Magica was a great album, and it just came out at, you know, kind of got lost in the shuffle with maybe the timing when it came out. So,
yeah, that was another. They were all enjoyable albums to do, but that one was especially because he took a long time. Oh, let's see. I think it was about 7 months or so fiddling around with it and doing demos on it and creating and. I was.
Did you get lost? Did the concept kind of confuse you? Because it kind of confused me when it came out. I had to really, really dig deep. Did it confuse you? Like, what's Ronnie thinking?
Well, I think people were taking it a bit too seriously.
Okay.
At first, I thought that, and I sat with him, and he kind of explained what it was. You know what it was. It's pretty much like science fiction.
Yeah.
So if you go in thinking that way, it's just like a fantasy novel, you know. So with elements of so-called reality in there, but yeah, it's quite a it's quite a story. That's for sure. You know? And like I say, I mean, watching him and Craig was there.
I got confused. I got confused the first time I heard
it. There's a spoken word at the end of the album that tells you everything.
Yes, it does.
Why are you so confused?
Yes, it does. Well, you have to hear it. You have to read it. When I first started. It reminded me of that movie. Remember that movie? I can't remember. It was AI. I can't remember what it was called. It reminded me of a very similar story. But anyways, I'm not going to get into that.
And Craig Goldie was obviously the guitarist that came back to play on that. So
yeah, and like I say, watching him and Craig develop the songs, and you know, they're adding in the keyboards. I was messing around with a drum machine just for the demos and in the studio, and it was incredible because, you know, I'd go away, I'd have to go see my daughter or something and all, and then before I'd leave, you know, they'd be working on this little piddly riff thing, you know, that didn't seem to be looking to amount to anything. But I'd go away, come back, and this thing was like this epic, you know, anthem that they created between them. It was remarkable, you know, good time.
I know you spoke about like a Magica 2. Did he ever speak to you about a Magica 2? You know, Simon, I really want to take this, or a 3, or, you know, can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, yeah, he did. He'd written down the beginnings of the continuation of the story, and we were working on some songs. I think Doug Aldridge came over the house, you know, just to keep things rolling along, because he wasn't feeling very well when all this was going down, but we thought it would occupy his mind, and he wanted to do it. So yeah, there was 3 or 4 ideas that were put down, and like I say, he begun to continue the novel and all. So but you know, that wasn't to be.
Yeah. Alan?
No, I mean, talking about Doug Aldrich, you know, Killing the Dragon. I mean, that's one that brought Dio right back to the forefront. He got to touring and maybe some larger size theaters. And Doug Aldrich, one of my favorite interviews right here in the Metal Voice of all times. What a great guy, and he really enjoys the time in the band. That was clear in our interview we had with him. So.
And you know what he told us, Simon? He goes, "Hey guys, upstairs in my room, I got a track that no one's ever heard from Dio." Was that it? Was that it, Alan?
Yeah,
he
that's
goes,
right.
It's upstairs in my room. I go, "Can we come up?" He's like,
Yeah, I think Craig worked on it too. So there's some tracks out there floating around, but they're not finished. They're not complete.
No.
So you know, they're only rough ideas with only a little bit of singing on them, I think.
Right.
If I remember right. But yeah, Doug's a great guy. That was great when Jimmy knew him, and Craig had left for I think he was having trouble with his family or something like that. Anyway, but Jimmy brought in Doug, and it was just like, who's this guy?
The new guy.
Like, yeah. He's good. I like him.
Yeah, he'll do the job.
And yeah, he was great in the studio. He was very knowledgeable of the studio too, how he wanted his guitars to sound and how he wanted them recorded and all that kind of thing. So it was a real treat. You know, he really had it down, and he did an awesome job.
David Feinstein, his cousin, told me that Ronnie was a one-taker. When he was doing his vocals, he told me he was one take. He only would do a second take if he felt he needed a second take. No one would tell him what to do. He knew what to do in regards to his vocals, and he had the vision, and he was like a one-take sort of vocal usually. Is there a lot of truth to that?
Yeah, that's right. What David said. Yeah, that's the way it was. I mean, and he would come up with these ideas while he's singing. You know, you could tell. You know, he was thinking, and it was like, let me try this over that, you know, and it sounded, it sounded like a really whacked out idea, but he would do it and you just go, wow, what's that? You know? So incredible mind, you know. Yeah, he was always on it. Yeah, one take, maybe 2, you know, amazing, and no warm-ups or anything. He just
rip right into it.
He'd be doing the crossword, and it would be like, "Oh, okay,
yes,
right."
And David Feinstein
and blast it out.
Get into the booth.
David Feinstein also told me that he was religious about his crossword puzzles. Like he would just he just always do his cross. You get the paper, do crosswords. And that's what sort of built his vocabulary too. And he told me, right?
Yeah, it was all about the words and the way you use the words. Yeah, and his songs are excuse me, they have the double entendres and all the rest, and different. You could take one meaning and it can mean another thing. Sign of a great songwriter, I think. Yeah, the crosswords really helped. He used to do it, and I stayed at his house for quite a long time. Other people did too, but he'd always sit in the kitchen with the sports radio on and the crosswords, And I'd come in the kitchen, I'd go, and he would never hear me coming in, I'd go, he'd be at the table doing a crossword with the radio, and I'd go, "Hey, Ron," and he'd go, "Jesus Christ." So what I used to do was just knock on the wall there a little bit before I went in, otherwise he's going to have a heart attack.
He also Go ahead, Alan.
Go back, maybe around the time he left Rainbow and then Black Sabbath, this little reputation followed Ronnie about being like a little general, and he knew what he wanted. He was a very confident man. Nobody can take that away. But did you, witness any of that, or you can dispel that rumor? I mean, with time, I think everybody came to realize he was a man that had confidence in his abilities, knew what he wanted, like you said, gets up, one take, and he knew exactly the sound he wanted.
That's the way he was, He could be a general a little bit, but you got to realize, especially when he had his own band. I mean, it was his band. He was the leader. I mean, it was all that was on his shoulders. So sometimes it would, something happened in the day, and then it would have a trickle down effect. I mean, it's totally justified. He never did anything that wasn't justified. It was like. He was the leader, and sometimes he had an angry side. I mean, his Italian side would come out, but it was his deal, and like I say, he was never I don't think he was ever unreasonable. He's a great man.
One of the stories I think I heard you recounting once was Ronnie threatened to throw you out the window, and you were on the first floor of his home.
Oh no, he said to me one time, he was really sick and just absolutely pissed off, and no one can blame him because I was trying to get him to do something. I forget what it was. I think it might have been taking his pills or whatever, because he had the pills for his condition, and he didn't want to do them for some reason. He just had enough and all. I said, "Well, you got to do them. You can't not. You got to do them." He says, something like, "I don't have to do anything. You say I can go over there and jump out that window." So I said, "Well, you won't get far because we're on the ground floor."
And just to switch gears, and we'll get back to
a bit of comedy at his expense. That's not the best way to say it.
And just to switch gears just a little bit, and we'll get back to the albums. Dio Disciples, is the album completed?
The album's kind of on hold. We took a shift, and we were all really excited about it, which is the hologram. Wendy, we're all involved with the hologram at the moment, which is called Dio Returns. Mm-hmm. So we were out on the road June of last year, May and June of last year and stuff and all, and it went really well. It wasn't. When we first started, it was kind of slow, and people were very wary of it and all. And in a way, you can't blame them because it's new technology and their feelings, and they think that we're, doing Ronnie a bad move, which is ridiculous. I mean, people have screens up that show images. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing. We're not trying to, raise the dead. But anyway, so we took a shift from that. So Dio Disciples is kind of on hold at the moment, but it's still there,
But is the album have you written all the songs? Is it in the can? We're ready to go once things start moving, or where are you in terms of songwriting?
We've got about 4 or 5 demos down of different songs and stuff that me and Craig were working on. And that's about it. It's kind of on hold at the moment. Like I say, we're focusing on Dio Returns, and hopefully it will return. Probably next year, I would imagine.
My last question on Dio Disciples. If you were to pick one album from the catalog, like which direction do you think the new music will? And I'm very curious about this. Which direction do you think it'll be closer to? Like a Lock Up the Wolves, as a Magica, Last in Line? Like what era would it sound closest to, in your opinion?
It's difficult to pin it down because is it 4 or 5? I think it might be 5 that we got down. I haven't listened to them for a long time. And some of them are a little different, still a little bit of Dio and, the way Ronnie would write, obviously, because that's rubbed off on Craig. And, I hear things too. But at the moment, it's a little bit eclectic. So that was going to be one thing we were going to approach, because we need to consolidate it and make it into, a Dio Disciples sound. So that was a conversation we were having. We need to figure out where we're going with this. So at the moment, it's a bit all over the place, but they sound good. They're great ideas.
Good. Alan?
Yeah.
No, I mean, what can I say? It's a sad day, but we're able to celebrate Ronnie's life here with Simon. One of my all-time favorite singers. I mean, I told the story before. Got a jean jacket with a big Ronnie James Dio on the back of it, and that was what I was known for in high school. Doesn't fit anymore. No. I still have it, but it doesn't fit any longer. So, but just his overall lyricism, his voice, of course, and everything he's done. I mean, starting with the very first Rainbow album, all the way through, it's the quality of the music and the lyricism, and always that little bit of a medieval kind of feeling in the lyrics, which I just adore. So, again, I can't say enough about the man.
It was interesting. My introduction to him was, I think it was on a radio program on a Friday called the Friday Rock Show with Tommy Vance. Yes, and I think I heard Kill the King off of Rainbow on Stage. And I was like, who's this? This is incredible, And it's interesting too, because then I went forward with it. I think it was I didn't really know much about them. I think he'd recorded Rainbow Rising then as well, but they were playing a track off Rainbow on Stage. But it's interesting to go forward with it, and collect the albums. But I was checking out what he did before as well, and all that when he was doing Elf and that. Elf. It's like such a change in things, and that the Elf stuff was pretty cool for his time. It was some really good stuff on there. Yeah, he's just it was just so easy for him. He was just a natural, the way he would approach singing and the way he sung. He always said that he used to play the trumpet, so that gave him that kind of
breathing,
the exercise of playing, the breathing and the exercise of playing the trumpet. Yeah, so that stood him well.
Scott Warren, who's playing on the keyboards, he was in the early version of Elf with Ronnie way back then.
Was he?
Yeah, I think so. That's what I read. They had a terrible car accident that almost broke up the band, and and Scott was part of that unfortunate car accident. But it was nice to see towards the end of the career, he was right back in the fold. So
I don't know if Scott was in Elf. I have to fact check that one. Let me call him. Oh no, with you guys.
Well, you
can't hang up and get back to you guys and jump back on. Okay. How about the Dio documentary? The Dio documentary, Simon. Have you filmed your part yet? What can you tell us about that?
Did it? Yes, I did. I filmed some stuff. The guys came over here and we sat down and had a chat, and it was good. They're really cool guys. I think they're going to do a good job of it. Obviously, that was was it a month ago, something like that. No, it was before this horrible thing that's going on. Yeah, so it's a couple of months ago. Okay. It seemed to go well. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Okay, we got about 9 minutes left. Alan, what about Master of the Moon? Pros and cons of recording Master of the Moon, I guess.
Hey, Mr. Jeff Pilson on bass that time.
Yeah, this is the first album you guys actually play together.
Yeah, Jeff came in. I think we were talking to Rudy Salzo at the time, but he couldn't come in. because he was on the road with Ingve.
Okay.
But we talked to him, and he definitely wanted to be involved. He was just doing the tour with Ingve. So yeah, Ronnie reached out to Jeff. Jeff came in like a thunder and lightning, and redid everything. No, he came in with such an enthusiasm. It was great working with him. His enthusiasm rubs off on you. And yeah, he did some great stuff.
Jeff's like the Energizer buddy. He's always got 14, 15 things on the go at all times, right?
Yeah, I know. I love him. He's great. He's great like that. I think he's a good and a brilliant musician and singer, and he's got a great voice as well.
He's got a great voice.
Yeah, he does.
Amazing.
Let me. So there's a lot of texts that are coming in, Simon, and we have a few minutes left. I just want to read them out. You don't have to answer everything, and if you do, just quick little shout outs. Saludos do Mexico. Awesome drummer, Simon. Saludos.
Sí.
This is Headbanger says, Yakima is saying, can you ask about your favorite bassist you have played with, or would you like to play with? Who would be your favorite bassist that you would have liked to play with, or you have played with?
I like playing alongside Rudy Salzo. He's such a groove going on with him. And he's such a great guy too. He's a brother. I love his playing. I wish I could play with him more often. Yeah, I mean, playing with Cliff Williams was a treat as well. He's solid. And him with Malcolm was just incredible. But yeah, I mean, there's bass players I haven't played with. I'd love to play with John Paul Jones one day. But I think he's probably busy somewhere doing something else. I don't know what he's doing.
No, and again, you playing with Dio and all his career to span, like we said, you got Cozy Powell through the Rainbow years, you got Bill Ward and Vinny, plus all the stuff that Vinny did with Dio. So what was it like playing some of those classic tracks with the Cozy Powell, like that you might have incorporated into the Dio set?
Oh, it's great. It's great trying to figure all this stuff out. I mean, I've been all sorts of. I've been Bill Ward, Cozy Powell, Vinny Appice. I've been everybody. And I try to be myself, and as best I can. So I just put my spin on them, but I don't go too far away from the actual idea because I think that's wrong. Because some of those drum parts are very integral to the way the song is. So I try to stick with what's been done, but add maybe a little bit. That seems to make sense to me.
No, and I go looking back at the day, you transition from AC/DC and that, and you got that sound, like you said, that's kind of what they've always done, and it's nice to see when your first albums with Dio and onwards, you're like, wow, this is what we always expected from Simon Wright. It was, for me as a fan, that was always very great to listen to. That you were able to kind of do the energy and everything we already expected from you. So
thanks, man. That's cool. Yeah, I try to do that. I mean, it's difficult. Some of the stuff is, you have to remind yourself that it's part of the song, so it needs to be there. And it's like a jigsaw puzzle, figuring some of it out, what's important and what's not. But thanks, Alan.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So tell me your favorite song from Dio that you love to play live with the band.
There's not one. I mean, come on, look at all those songs.
Maybe there's one. Maybe "Last in Line." The song "Last in Line."
50.
I would think.
Yeah. Absolutely. "Last in Line," "Stargazer," obviously. With Disciples, we were doing a song called "The Shed" from Rainbow, which I really enjoyed doing. I love that song.
Long Live Rock and Roll album. Yeah, that's a great song.
It's a great album.
Yeah, and no one's really touched that song before, or done it, So I thought we should do that, It's really, really cool.
What do you miss?
That was another one.
What do you miss most about Ronnie? I mean, over the years, you lose somebody you were close to. What do you miss most about the guy?
I think, he's, it's like his that camaraderie that we had, and his company, hanging out with him was great. you know, we'd get into some serious stuff other than music, you know, it was like in the backyard and stuff and all.
He was a big sports fan
And,
too, right? He's a big sports fan.
Yeah. He knew he knew a lot about a lot of different sports too. We used to have many a conversation about, you know, the Premier League with Manchester United, and his team was
Montreal Magic. No.
Queens Park Rangers, and I was, you know, I'm saying Queens Park Rangers. What do you like about them? You know, and I think it was just the team he just picked up on. There was nothing significant, but yeah, I miss all that stuff about him. He was funny too. He was so quick, you know, with his wit, and yeah, it's great times. I really miss him. I sometimes think about what he'd make of what's happening now, and I think when you look at it, you know, today he passed when he was 68. Today he'd be 78, so he'd be in complete lockdown, totally pissed off, you know. Just had enough of it, you know. It's like, but yeah, no, I really miss him. I really do. And the music.
Simon, I mean, it's a pleasure. And again, it's a sad day, but at the same time, we're able to celebrate the vast achievements and the great music. That's what it boils down to, great musicianship from Dio. And we thank you enormously for taking the time out of your day to spend with us. And like I said, it's a sad day, but at the same time, we can celebrate everything he's ever done in his life. And you were a part of that and a big part of that. So.
Is there anything?
It's nice to talk to you guys.
For sure. And in the last minute, is there anything that you're working on that you want everybody to know? You know, just out of respect for you jumping on with us, and maybe there's something that you're working on.
Yeah, the yard in the back, the roses are looking, you know, need clipping. So I'm working on them at the moment. And I got to go to Ralph's later.
Next time we'll talk about the rhino bucket and UFO years. So.
All right.
Going back.
All right, there you have it, folks. The Metal Voice with Simon Wright.
Yes.
Ex-AC/DC, and of course with Ronnie James Dio. Did a few albums there, did a live album. Anyways, hope to talk to you again. Next time, maybe we'll talk about AC/DC and other stuff that you're working on. All right?
Okay, guys. Sounds good. Yeah.
Thank you, Simon.
Have a nice day.
Thank you, guys. See you later.
Stay